All right, hey everybody. So today we are going to learn a new way to solve quadratics. This will be the last way that we learn how to solve quadratics. It's called completing the square. You need to know that there are many ways I could solve this quadratic, but on your worksheet that you have for today and tomorrow, you have to solve them by completing the square to get credit. And then again, you'll have a little short quiz on Friday, maybe 4 questions. Again, this is just the basics of completing the square, but it's important to get this little foundation. It's going to help you in geometry. And then if you take Algebra 2, it's going to help you in Algebra 2 also. All right, so let's get started. Our first step is we need all of the constants moved to the right-hand side of the equation. So if you'll notice, my only constant I'm seeing is this -12 right here. I need it to be on the right-hand side. If it's already on the right-hand side, then you're ready to go to step number 2. But this one is not, so I need to move it. So if I'm going to move this -12 over, I'm going to add 12 to both sides. All right, so that's going to give me x squared plus 4x equals, notice I left a little space right here. I'm going to show you why in a second. Okay, so I've moved my constants to the right-hand side. I only had one of them to move, but I moved it anyway. All right, so next, here's where we are going to do what's called completing the square. We need to fill in that blank right there, and we're going to fill in that blank by completing the square. But, you know, this is going to be a new thing for you, but remember the old adage, if we do something on one side of the equal sign, we have to do it on the other side. So even though all I did was draw a blank right here, I want you to go ahead and draw a blank over there also. Okay, so that's a little different and might seem odd, but stick with me and it should make sense. Okay, so now our next step is we need to fill in these blanks. We need to fill in that blank, we need to fill in that blank. And here's how we're going to fill in that blank. Well, if you remember, if I was talking about A, B, and C, this would be A, this would be B, and now I'm looking for a new C. I'm looking for a new C to put in that blank. We're going to use a little formula. It's going to be C equals B divided by 2 squared. So this formula is never going to change. We're going to use it for all of the ones we solved by completing the square. So B divided by 2 squared. Well, my new C is going to equal what my B is. Well, in this case, my B is 4. We're going to divide it by 2 because that's what my formula says, and then I need to square it. Now, if you have one of our calculators, you would be able to punch this right into your calculator, this whole part right here, but I'm advising you not to. I would do what's in parentheses first, and that's going to be C equals 2 squared. The reason why I told you to do that is because we're going to use that number again, just that number inside the parentheses before I square it, okay? I kind of like to call it my magic number. You'll see what I mean here in a second. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish my formula. So 2 squared equals 4. So that's what I'm going to put, this number, sign included, is what I'm going to put in the blank right here, okay? Well, if I fill in the blank on the left-hand side with a +4, I need to fill in the blank on the right-hand side with a +4. So that's going to give me x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 12 plus 4 is 16, okay? So now we're going to factor this left-hand side. Remember factoring? Well, if you didn't like factoring, I got good news for you. I'm going to show how we're going to use this magic number here in a second. But let's factor this. And I'm not going to go through the whole process of how to factor because, again, you'll see we're going to end up using this magic number. But if I were to factor this, it would turn out to be x plus 2 equals 16. Okay? Now, as we get better with this, this is a step I can skip right here. I don't have to write this x plus 2. It's always going to be the same thing in both sets of parentheses. And we learned a long time ago that, excuse me, if I multiply the same thing times itself, then I'm really squaring it. So what that really is x plus 2 squared equals 16. Okay? So I can skip this step right here. I can go straight from this one to that one. All I have to use is my magic number, x plus 2, that's my magic number, and then remember, put it in parentheses and square it. Well, now it should look really familiar to you if you did your work on Monday and Tuesday. So now the rest of it, I'm just going to complete. I'm going to answer by taking the square root. So now I'm going to write this again so you can see it. So now I'm ready to take the square root of both sides. All right. So that's going to, remember the square root and the square cancel. That's going to leave me x plus 2 equals plus or minus. Don't forget that plus or minus. Square root of 16 is 4. So now I'm going to write two equations. X plus 2 equals 4. X plus 2 equals negative 4. Now I'm going to solve both equations. Subtract 2 from both sides. That gives me a negative 8. So there are your two answers. A little lengthy. We're going to do another one here in a second. I must actually do it on a different video. And it's going to show you one where this b term right here is a negative. Changes a little bit, but I just want you to see one, make sure you use your formula correctly. So here in a sec, you'll see another video doing our second one. I think your worksheet only has 5 problems on it, so shouldn't take you too long to do that. And then again, there'll be a quiz on Friday.